Thanks again, Shaka. We received tremendous feedback in our STA inbox to this week's question. U.S. lawmakers examining the threat that terrorism poses in Africa have expressed concerns that America may be overlooking human rights and governance abuses by regional leaders who provide assistance on counterterrorism issues. This leads us to our question of the week, which asks, what changes, if any, should be taken to improve U.S.-Africa relations? Well, before we begin, I'd like to thank all of you for using our social media platforms to communicate with us. And another reminder that we are tweeting live today. Use the hashtag VOA US Africa Relations. And if you haven't yet, please do follow us at VOA Shaka. And speaking of, let's go to a tweet from Ika Chele, who writes, by preventing mainstream terrorist groups like IS from spreading in Africa, the U.S. will help Africa have peace. And we have another tweet from Michael Gutwetch, who writes, help build strong institutions, especially independent judiciary and an army that is not attached to the ruling party or rulers. And our last tweet is from RPD 2610, who writes, we don't need aid, but rather oust Museveni, Nkurunziza, Kabila, Mugabe, and the remaining dictators in West Africa. Now let's go over to Facebook, where our Facebook fan Owera Walter writes from Uganda, African leaders should avoid overstaying in power past their elected term limit in order to improve and maintain good relations with the United States. Well, Shaka, a few thought-provoking points made. What's your take?
Very interesting. Maria, your reaction?
Well, those are all interesting points. I certainly believe it's important for armies to be distinct from their presidents. The best case scenario is that the president can perform his role in the executive function, and the armies can concern themselves with broader security questions without being beholden to a specific leader. I do think that that's a critical point for human rights protections in pretty much all countries around the world.
Very interesting. What about you, Sylvester?
Yeah, I second that, but I keep emphasizing it is important for us to start making use of what we know, fighting with the weapons we already know. Looking at the colonialist period, someone like Frederick Lugard, one of his weak points was his inability to delegate authority.
Captain Lugard?
Yeah, I mean, Frederick Lugard, yeah, the British...
the man that introduced indirect rule.
Thank you. So
from India to Nigeria and of course to Uganda.
His inability to delegate authority was one of the problems, because you have to start making use of the ethnic leaders so they'll be able to communicate back to you. And that refers to what I said in the beginning. We need the ethnic groups. We need all together. Coming together is the key. The Bible even said that a city cannot be taken care of without multitude counselors. So when we come together with different advices, that will help us to rule our nation. So I second that contribution.
Ayen, do you have any more feedback from our audience, please?
Yes, we have just a couple more. Let's go to a comment from Facebook fan Ina Muhumuza Sent, who writes, the United States should leave Africa's issues to Africans. For example, why are they concerned over Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni's comments on the International Criminal Court when actually they are not a part of the ICC? And our last Facebook comment comes from Masareka Clovis, who writes, if African countries fight against corruption to the best of their ability, then the U.S.-Africa relationship will stand strong. Well, Shaka, it's hard to disagree with that. Your take?
Very interesting, Maria. Especially the first, piece suggests that when he says they are not members of the ICC, maybe you could, in fact, correct that impression. That, in fact, a majority of those who walked out at Kololo are, in fact, signatories and members of the Rome Statute.
Yeah, many European countries did walk out of President Museveni's inauguration last week. As we said, Canada and other Scandinavian countries. So the decision by some of the diplomatic community to walk out was not the U.S. alone. Although I think it is important that the U.S. Does participate in dialogue with its EU partners, given that they are all participating in providing security assistance and support to civil society in Uganda.
Very interesting. What about that, Sylvester?
The reason we do all these things is for sustainability, so that our kids will take over from where we stop from, have a good life. But obviously, it's all about politics and interest. But if we can keep interest and politics aside and focus on building lives there, we have multitude that are languishing, that are struggling. So I think it is time for the U.S. to really send us out. And as a big, U.S. have been catering for the whole world, spending a lot of money. But how about spending all of those money, you look at it in the end of the year, there is no effectiveness in it. And that is what is happening. Ebola happened, the U.S. arrested it. Terrorism is going on, the U.S. arrested it. The last comment talked about corruption. Corruption and terrorism requires global attention, because Africa is crying, Africa is depressed today because a lot of resources have been stolen. And where are they? Not in Africa, overseas. So, and that's the reason why I believe the Western world pay no attention to that. If they can help African governments to recover all those things, Africa will be strong. A hungry man remains an angry man.
Pay attention next week to the Panama Papers. Well, Ian, thanks very much for bringing us this week's audience reaction.
It's my pleasure, and that does it for today's social media segment. Just a reminder that we appreciate all the feedback, whether it's in social media form or using other means to communicate with us. Please keep them coming. And if you're a new fan, do drop us a line at africatv@voanews.com. Once again, our email address is africatv@voanews.com. Or post your comments on our Facebook page. Enter the keywords Straight Talk Africa. And be sure to visit us online at voaafrica.com. Or you can join our YouTube channel. Sign up to VOA TV2 Africa. And follow us on Twitter at VOA Shaka. A reminder that the show is streaming live every Wednesday. Go to VOA Straight Talk Africa TV program page on our website, or simply watch us live on your mobile device. Just download the VOA mobile app